You were telling me that um, there's multiple ways the stories can unfold or the choices can unfold, and each of them has aspects that would evoke like a yes resonance or a no revulsion.
Well, there are inside of me
Yeah.
multiple facets that can resonate in different ways with the same story.
Mm.
And
Mm.
then there are multiple stories.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but so in a way it feels like it's about learning to make decisions. I don't think I have really had. I think it's because it's the sword also. This circuit you depict it with the sword,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
which I hadn't seen
Yeah.
before, but it's I like it for the suit. And
The sword and the tarot represents the mind, right? The air element.
yeah, yeah, and the ability to discern, making
Yes.
choices. It's well, many of them, like the two of swords. Well, you start already there.
I
It's
like also the Prince of Swords, right? In the Crowley Tarot, he like cuts,
yeah,
like he writes his carriage and he's cutting strains of story. If we're like in the context of our conversation, right? If there are many like strains of story that can unfold, the Prince is the one that goes like, okay, this is not it, this is not it, this is not it. I like to identify which strain of story to follow.
yeah. And I remembered also as in that one that it looks like a character is standing on a dark cloud and like jumping into the light with their sword pointed.
As a princess, I think.
That's the princess, yeah.
Mm.
That's the I had this one in a reading about this topic.
I like the interpretation of the princess to be also somebody that's kind of like overthrowing altars of dogma. So she's like her like this job that she's doing is also kind of like a revolutionary of like revolutionizing thought patterns, belief systems, BS that has become like too rigid or a story that's not serving you anymore,
Yeah.
and like challenging that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it yeah. I think also like in a way that she knows what she wants. She wants to move on with her life. She doesn't necessarily. It's not even a choice that she doesn't want to go back to me. It's that of course, she doesn't want to go back to me because she wants to move on with her life. But that has much less to do with me than it has to do with her life.
You're talking about Paulina now.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Hmm. She wants to move on with her life.
Yeah, in a way, it's about the story. It's for her. It's also about story drive. It's something that has me thinking of.
But what do you want? And how will you know if it's that what you want?
Well, I actually want. I wanna move on with my life.
You want to, I didn't get that quite acoustically. You want to move on with her?
No, I want to move on with my life.
You want to move on with your life?
Yeah, I wanna. I feel like I have too much to do, and too much to give to be stuck in this drama game. And if I get the signals that I'm getting from the universe right, it's, bro, just do your job in the world and everything else will fall into place. Everything else will find you the way that you need to be found. But if you waste your time, focus all your energy onto somebody else, then you're never gonna find your way in the world. And if you don't find your way in the world, then your relationship also won't last. So it's much less about trying to salvage a relationship and about re-establishing your relationship with the world.
What is your current relationship to the world?
Yeah, I feel like I've been neglecting the world. Like I've been failing to live up to my own desires about how I show up in the world. Because I've been too caught up in relationship drama to give a shit. I gave all my fucks away, but I need them for my job out there.
What's the job out there?
You know, poetry. Yeah. Yeah, poetry. Revolutionary, heartening, enlightening, and comforting poetry. Write songs. Write songs and give some kind of a cushion of love and song to make everything suck a little bit less.
Alchemy. Is that what you see and experience in the world? Into poetic musings to make that all a little bit less shittier.
Even it doesn't matter, but it's something to do with this, with these things. I love to do this. Nothing else really makes sense. Doing this is the thing that makes sense.
And we need for things to make sense, don't we?
Right. Things need to make sense. And they need to feel right, they need to sit right with you, like in a way to go up, like they need to be digestible, they need to feel a certain way, and to make sense. And then the next step is to connect you with people.
Connect you with what?
Right? The next step is like to be connected, to do it in a connected way, to do it together. So the path is revealing itself, and I need to walk it. You know, this is my other approach in a way. It's, you know, that synchronicity is, and story in a way, letting storytelling happen for you, not because you have the power to do it, but because you know, in the end, you know, I'm a mere mortal, and God is a better storyteller than me. You know.
Do you read some Terry Pratchett?
Not really, no.
Oh, I think you should. Terry Pratchett has a notion in his Discworld novels that narrative is a cosmic force, right? And the narrative pushes forward, and then as a playing character, you can like up to go with the narrative and where the narrative is taking you, or you can resist the narrative and spend up a lot of energy resisting the narrative.
I tried. It doesn't work. Or at least it didn't work the way I was trying, which was just like raw emotional outburst. Yeah, so maybe there are other strategies. But yeah, so narrative strategies. Pleading. Not with people, but with the universe. Hey you, what do you want from me exactly? Hi, I'll be your protagonist. What do you like here? Let's make a deal.
Yes.
Characters have their known desire, because characters have to be driven by a desire, in order to have a motivation, and they can have their known desires and they can have their unknown desires.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
satisfying story that if you get a character who like thinks they're going to imagine a children's book about pirates, and like the children pirates, they think they're going out because their quest is to get the golden wrapped ice cream. That's their conscious desire, but their unconscious desire is for adventure, togetherness, and enlightenment. And they get this. This is what they really get. And then, oh, by the way, after when they get there, they conquer their fears. They of themselves as well as of each other, as well as of the unknown. And then they reach the treasure. And then, oh, by the way, here's some of that gold wrapped chocolate you wanted. There's this. This is kind of part of it. So it's like, okay.
You get the gold for the unconscious desire if you dare go for the quest, so that your main desire shows you towards to. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, or that there's kind of a deal possible with the universe where, like, okay, I'll go for the main quest, but I also would then, give me the reward. Give me the specific reward I choose. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember where exactly, but somebody suggested. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but like, I mean, as magicians, we can try, right? We can try if we can hack some special privileges out of the game world.
This idea of narrative, it is there. Like, it's a satisfying story, or satisfying for the audience if the characters also get that in a way, if the character gets to feed their gremlins. This is also like cathartic when you watch that happen in a movie where of course this like cheeky trickster hero sidekick at the end of the movie, the hero gets their main quest and the trickster sidekick gets to feed their gremlin. So it's like that's still satisfying for the audience. So it's about that somehow. Like let me have a little bit of control, knowing that I owe that control to the fact that I don't have any control.
Give me the illusion of control so I can satisfy some gremlin needs.
Yes.
Yes.
This is my bargaining strategy for now.
Yeah. I find like sometimes the game world also reacts to the stories we put out there, like even if you like see the main narrative, you see the main quest and you go like, oh yeah, awesome, but I also want to do the side quest over here, and you start telling the story of the side quest and it's like, all right, I'll allow it, go for your fucking side quest, see what you find. And at some point it will push you back to the main quest.
Right, and I feel like I'm being pushed back to the main quest now. Like that's this whole thing is about. It's not necessarily about whether this relationship has a future or not. It's about, hey dude, you're getting off your fucking main quest. And that I should take it as a serious warning. Like, we will keep doing this shit to you. Don't think that you're gonna find the one who's gonna where you're not gonna have this problem. Because the problem is you, brother. It's you not doing your main quest.
And yeah, there needs to be some respect for the main quest sometimes, I think. Like, the more I like that story about like the shamans, right? That they get a calling. You get a calling for like you need to be in service somehow. You need to be a healer, and you resist that calling. You start getting sicker. You start getting shit thrown at you, and then more and more and more until you break, and you take up the calling.
Oh yeah.
But
fun.
Have you heard that story before?
Yes, I have heard variations of this story, but I didn't didn't quite hear it with such an emphasis on the you're gonna experience friction from not doing it.
Mm.
Like it's gonna pile up.
That's at least my experience.
Well, yes, it's something like that. It's something like that in the terms of that it's like supernatural or like it feels not supernatural but like out of my hands. It's the wheel of fortune. It's karma. It's not really subject to my narrative surface level scribblings. Because it's deeper than that.
Yeah, there's a like that's what we're gonna go into also when we get to Circuit 7, right? Like there's some like grand cosmic narrative and there's like cosmic players as well, that like push the narrative forward, like on a meta role-playing game level. And it's like you can't interact with those forces and you can't interact with those cosmic narratives, and the more you find alignment to it, maybe the easier it flows. Or as well, you can't like resist, you can't try to resist.
Yeah, no, but anyway, they have a plan for you in some way, like, or
yeah.
There is like, ooh, you could do this, you could do this, and if you do none of them, I can imagine, if you don't show any signs of wanting to go that way, I feel like they lose interest. They're like, fine, go, cut you loose, go live your life.
It's like, all right, waste this incarnation, do what you will. But then don't come claiming the quest rewards because you're not gonna get them.
And don't come complaining. Like don't expect your usual favors.
I'm curious about your take on something. Like I have a disagreement with my dad around like astrology natal chart, right? And I'm not like a super buff in astrology, but I'm kind of like getting into it a little bit more. It was significant though for me in my childhood, as it like served as a bit of like Leo. Leos are awesome. So anytime I got like punished or demeaned or belittled by my dad, like the Leo narrative gave me power. So I did make it part of my personal identity as well, like to draw power from the narrative. But my thoughts on astrology right now are more like along the line that what we've been discussing. There's sort of like a cosmic blueprint of your place in the grand cosmic story, and you can like through that blueprint of your chart sort of interpret in a language. You have a language to interpret what the cosmic influences of the big players in the cosmic game are having in your life and how they're pushing your personal narrative forward through this life, right? Like it's the cosmic play field in which you move. And my dad has rather the opinion that it's like, yeah, you get your natal chart and that has influence on you, but the quest is to kind of like relinquish yourself from the influence of your natal chart, constellation chart. Whereas I would see it more as like it's more like if you start like looking at it and learning about it and interpreting it through the mythopoetic language it offers, it can give you rather hints on how to make your way through the game easier, because you're not resisting the narrative that's been laid out for you, but you're going with it consciously.
Where's the conflict with your dad in this?
Like he says, it's not about following what the chart lays out, but like emancipating from it and doing your own. So emancipating from the influence of the chart constellation, the stars constellations.
Interesting. So I actually had immediately when you said like I have a conflict with my dad about astrology, I wanted to interrupt you and ask why. But then in some sense you answered that question, but in some sense not.
Well, I think like on a deeper layer, now that you speak into it, the conflict, the actual conflict lays around that this reality tunnel interpretation of him led him, I think, to a quest in how to educate me. Like he saw, like, okay, I'm a Leo born, Leo rising, big ego, big persona thing. And then because she thinks that the job is to emancipate from the influence of the constellation of the chart, that his educational quest would be to like keep my ego in check and demean my ego, belittle me, make me small, not allow me to go into this like Leo expression of self-confidence growing up. That would be like the C2 emotional conflict with my dad, I would say, based on the reality tunnel interpretation of how astrology works.
Yeah. So, in a way, he stepped on your Leo to help you emancipate from your Leo. In the process,
Yeah.
activating your Leo.
Well, activating the trauma.
Yeah, but in a way which still doesn't like.
Which at the end of the day is like the prima materia with which then you create alchemy in your story, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's not like it didn't work.
No.
If he said, if he was so about, I mean, if it's about emancipation, was it his words or yours?
That are my words. Like what his like he spoke in Spanish. Yeah, doch. I think he said emanciparse de la influencia de los astros. Emanciparse de la influencia de los astros.
Yeah, but then, you know, emancipation means like power over, and repression is more like running away from. So, yeah. So it's even if that's your goal, then the way is not to suppress. It's to show that you're not afraid of it. Like, okay.
And to work with it, right? Like the path is in like to consciously work with what you've discovered around the influence.
Address it. Then if it's something to overcome, then address it as something that is there, not as something that shouldn't be there. Because in a way, right?
Yeah.
I also had another, or it reminds me of one take that I heard about astrology, which was that if you don't have any planets in a certain house or sign, it can also be because you don't need to learn that. You're already there. You got that.
Interesting, because half my planets, like all of my planets, are on only half of my chart, and the rest of the chart is sort of like planet free. At least four or five houses. 5 houses.
So maybe it's like you have this sometimes people who are like, wow, they're such and such. Like you can tell that they have all the qualities from a certain place. They just don't have any placements there that make sense for them. Or I'm just too new to astrology to make sense of it. Yeah, it just seems like an idea that you have strong Leo because you're learning it. Yeah.
You need to master it, no? Like,
yeah.
Master the Leo part.
Yeah, and mastery is also necessary for me in a sense for emancipation. Because it's in a way you can't emancipate from something that you can't first fulfill. Otherwise you remain dependent on it.
Yeah, that's a good story. That's a good story. It's like you need to master the archetype that you were given to from the sun to the rising to then be able to consciously play with it, say. You master it, and then you can like emancipate from it, and then you can like consciously play with it if you need it.
It's like you're given a role to play. In some sense, is that you have to show that you can play that role in such a way that it's not that you're not being played by the role.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's I would say that's magician consciousness, right?
That's like yes, I'm a Scorpio, but I'm not. But Scorpio isn't me. Yes, you're a
Yeah.
Leo, but Leo isn't you. Yes, someone is a Gemini, but Gemini isn't them. Or at least they're not. That you there you find the balance, and this yeah. Because the more you get towards, if you're on a path of mastery, you also feel the power of something. And it can be seductive to then let it rule you.
Mm.
Like I can be seduced to let the venom rule me. And then realize that no, that, that's not me. That's not me either. Because yeah, ultimately it's not about the power. It's not about the ability to change the world into what you think you want. Which brings us back to this quest reward topic. Like, if you're not at your destination yet, how do you even know what you will truly want?
No, it's It's about playing the role you've been given to the best of your ability, and see the story fold out,
Maybe
unfold.
as a Scorpio, maybe I am destined to keep revisiting. Wait, what role is that exactly?
Yeah, what role does Scorpio have actually? What?
In a way, yeah. Go there, go in, get in, uh, apply the right amount of venom. Sometimes just enough to, like the little bite of awareness, and sometimes to finish some silly stories. I don't know. And then to get out, and probably get hurt on the way out, or grow, and grow. Seek shelter again, morph, grow, but yeah, I don't know. Like every time you grow, it feels like a complete transformation, like a reconstitution.
Scorpio sheds skin as well, right?
Exactly. But it's not so bad. I feel like I get stronger every time. Maybe not physically, maybe not. Also, I don't know, yeah, it feels like I get stronger every time. A little bit. It's such a quest to like hold on to I'm thinking kindness and the right way.
Yeah. Oh, I'm feeling that one.
It's like you're holding on to this sort of wand. It's like, imagine like a golden wand that you're holding on to as you're being dragged through like under the sea like a hurricane, and then up into the air through the bird shit, and then like through a cloud and through the snowstorm, and then like up a hill dragging along. It's like, wow. So many things tempting you to let go and give up on it. Like, show that you really want it.
Yeah. Show that you really want it. How much pain are you willing to take if you're for it if you really want it? I've been down that story. And then the balance now also between like how can you stay in kindness and compassion and empathy while at the same time taking care of not giving your fucks away.
Well, I think that's indeed to happen.
That what?
Indeed, it sounds like it's time to change the story. It's like it feels like you're so rushing.
Oh, fucking doggo here.
Yeah, but that's it. It's there. It's there.
It's there. It's there.
Yeah.
What were you saying about? You were giving me some feedback around. It's time to change that story. That is a hard balance between cultivating fox and remaining in kindness and compassion.
Yes. Maybe it's like it's like you're learning to catch up with it. Like you're learning to swim, you're learning to run, you're learning to fly. You let this kindness and compassion and the right way also energize you. You only hold on with one hand. Hold on lightly. Hold on like it's yours. Hold on just with your two fingertips. And then use the rest of your free movement to navigate that world. Fed with that you're holding. Rather than holding on, let it and be there. Like open yourself. Become a channel for the power that you are claiming. And if you're really claiming it, then hold it lightly. Because it's yours. Just pick it up out of the storm like a wand. And then keep that kind.
I have a quest for this week still that I have not found the proper tagline for. It's a quest given to me by my fox, by the fox. By the fox. Foxy wisdom. We're talking about self-images, right? It's also a C3 thing. We have stories about who we are and what we want, and we've been talking like stories about like what our quest might be in this world as well. And yeah, somehow we were talking about like being cute, because I was in resistance to some cutesy words that he was speaking to me. And then I said like, no, I rather am, I am sentences, right? Like, I am rather an intimidating big creature. And then he challenged me. He says like, I wonder where this attachment to the story of being intimidating comes from. Like, how is that fucking serving you, right? And of course, it's a good defense mechanism. It's a good story to also keep like people away, and my past served me well as well to be like this unfuckwittable force, right? So it's like if I'm intimidating, no one will dare to just like fuck me over or play me, because yeah, I give off this vibe of being intimidated. But it also means that people don't approach me, and that yeah, there's this like way I show up with my public persona or in public that gives out this vibe of just don't fucking approach me. And my flatmate had like feedback me that or mirror me that as well already, and it's just like, it's so weird, Mariana, because you're such a warm person. But then when you go like out into this like, okay, I'm on the witch mission or something, and like some festival, hosting workshops or whatever, space holder, facilitator, I rather give up like this like big intimidating space holder vibe or something.
Yeah, but that's also kind of like a comfort place to be. Like this, oh, I know everything. It's like
I did not understand that acoustically. Can you repeat, please?
like it's a very I know everything place. It's like
No, not necessarily. I know everything place. There is a certain arrogance to the shadow side of my gremlin to it, of course. Yeah. Leo arrogance as well. But that, yeah, like I'm not that interested in like analyzing it to the core right now, but like more like in what can I shift that story? Because yeah, I don't think I need that story anymore.
Yeah. Then maybe. My first intuition is that it's not a story that is shifted on the story level. Maybe it's a story
Mm.
that shifts on a physical level or an emotional level.
Maybe, but sometimes it starts on the story level, right? If you don't have the key for the emotional level, you can start on the story level, bullshitting yourself,
Well, I mean,
and
that's
then you
like
maybe down the path of the narrative, you find the key for the emotional or the physical level.
yeah, fair. So, wear white.
Oh, now that voice sounded Jummy to my core.
I reserve it for special occasions.
Special occasion. I didn't understand what you said though.
I said wear white.
Wear white. Fuck. I can see it, yeah.
Or even colors, you know.
Yeah, colors. I've already started though wearing more colors, yeah.
It's the hippie shit, you know. It's also about this because you kind of. Alright, the next thought I had was about unlocking this mothering thing that you stop doing. Stop by not like mothering the boys. In a way,
What
hmm?
the mothering voice?
Like not you had this before, like about not giving your fucks away in the form of mothering boys.
Yeah, I'm mothering boys. Yeah, I understood voice. I was like,
Yeah.
my mothering boys. Yeah, okay, not mothering boys. Yeah.
In a way, it's like this. Maybe it unlocks, like by not doing it there, you kind of unlock you kind of in a way unlock the quality for real. By no longer reserving it as a relationship strategy.
Mm.
It's like maybe you can put it into the way that you hold space. It's like spread.
Like make the mother the space holder.
In a way, like somehow, like invite her to there, like make it a little bit, you know, spread out the care a bit more thinly, but a bit more broadly. I don't know if that makes sense, or maybe I don't see it well enough to understand.
Yeah. That's not like well, I don't know. Maybe it's resistance from my inner bullshit generator, but it's right now not really resonating.
Yeah, good. That's good. I see.
I already have like an offering where I do invoke the mother archetype, which is like the cacao mama, the hermit journey with Mama Cacao, just like inner child and shadow work with cacao medicine. And there, of course, I invoke that motherly archetype to be like holding space also for the inner childs of my clients. But I don't see that like the group workshop, the group workshop archetype persona has been a different one. That's more Mavis, not the cacao mama.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Well, yeah. And where's Mavis in her development? What's her archetype?
What's her what?
What is her, I don't know, blueprint? Mavis. Or how
The
is it?
shapeshifter.
Yeah, but how is her blueprint evolving over time? Or what's her
That's a very fucking good question. What's the blueprint for evolvement for a shapeshifter?
how is she evolving? Because she's also been with you for a while.
Well, she's been like owning different roles. It's like multiplying the roles she plays. Maybe. Hmm. I've been like I've been owning more that Mavis is the core of me in like my magical evolution. Where at the beginning it was just a character, and then it was like okay, a magical name, but that was like the beginning of it, and then I took it fully as a magical name, and then I also outed that name to the public. So it has been a journey as well to claim more of it in most of the ways I show up, rather than just like keep it a secret magical name. And that has to do also with this like Discordian monastic way of life, the Erisian monasticism of like, yeah, live your Discordianism open, live your belief or live your Erisian movement shenanigans out in the open. It's like be it, and also like be the magician. Whereas like many magicians, at least like magicians that are kind of like in this occult societies, often like they have their magical life and they have like a public life that doesn't know anything about them being magicians. And like merging that magical name more also with my personal business or like service persona out in the world has been also a way of just like owning more the archetype of the magician. Yeah. And not hiding. Yeah. And how does a shapeshifter not hide? It's interesting because shapeshifter like it hides behind the roles, right? Yes. So how does the shapeshifter come out of hiding, out of the occult?
Yeah, good question. But not hiding behind the walls? Or...
And I do a lot of hiding behind roles. I've noticed in the last years. Yeah.
Yeah, so by owning this, what because you're trying to achieve something, right? With the role. Like, are you playing the role for
Sure.
or does the role have a intended result, or is the role connected to some desire?
Well, like the roles as the characters we get to play at the social games, right? So yeah, if you have some quests of interaction and playing the social games, in some way or another you play the role, right? If you play the,
That's my experience too.
you can play the.
Yeah, that's my experience too. Yeah, yeah, you do play a role,
There's different social games you can play, and each of them requires you to play a certain role. There's like the roles are cast in the different game worlds of the social game in a way. And then taking a path like me of like, okay, I'm gonna be a solopreneur, weird magician, ritual designer, cosmic customer care agent, whatever, living my own madness in service of other people. Um, then that's a role as well in a way, like, right?
Definitely.
The
But what I like about
the
the role is that, or what this idea of thinking in roles to play social games has me thinking about, especially when you say like different social games require different roles, is that you find a role that will let you play different social games, or that you can play the different social games with as coherent a role as you can.
yes,
And in the way there,
yes.
you find your true persona, which can still be a role, but at least it's a consistent one. That, yeah.
And I think that's where like the authentic relating game comes in, right?
Yeah, because then, yeah.
That like through the practice of like authentic intimacy, because out there in the social world we're always in some way playing some game and some role, right? It's like jobs or marketing or I don't know, whatever games we play in a social game. But like in intimate relationships we get to practice being our fucking selves.
Yes, but
We
then
get
why
to
do we?
be revealed more to ourselves as well.
Yeah, but in different relationships, different aspects of ourselves come to the front.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Every relationship mirrors something different about us.
Well, but I think that that's part of the problem with, at least my problem with relationships. Maybe I need to get some of my own medicine here. How about I operate in relationships so that in the most consistent way? Like, why is there such different aspects of myself going out in different relationships? How about I do less of that and get closer to my true way of showing up in relationships, even if that's not, even if that's supposed to be more myself than persona.
Hmm. What about like both? I mean, both. It can be a quest of like becoming aware how the reflections you get from different people and like how you're showing up for different people differ and different, and like start examining what the common strains are, which then bring you closer to your core, right? But you still need somehow the different mirrors of the different people to reach that in a way. Like it's a journey of like unveiling that as well. And once you have a more or a clearer perception or a more coherent perception of what the core is of who you are, then it becomes also easier to just like show up authentically in relationships as who you are without kind of like morphing into what you think the other person is needing from you.
I find it very hard not to do that. Even now, I feel like, you know, in a way, I feel like Paulina's doing the same. Doing
How are you morphing to be with me?
how am I more to be with you? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh well, in a way. So, well, I feel like you gave me some like reflections and even compliments that, yeah, inspired certain aspects of me to show up more in our relationship than they do in others, perhaps. No, they do. It's not perhaps. I'm saying that to sound cool. That's how I'm morphing. It's not perhaps. I notice. Let's see it. Yeah. So, so how am I morphing? Not changing necessarily, but morphing. Like what's what comes to the surface, or things I like. I'm happy to have this come to the surface.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about like what comes to the surface, right? Um, the first time I realized that was in college. In a class I took in comparative religion. It was about like the narrative construction of identity because we're doing narrative interviews on people's stories about their religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs and how they shape their identity. And then there's a phenomenon because we're narrative beings, right? I like to speak of Homo sapiens as well as like Homo narrandus. So we're narrative beings, and our identity is also a narrative construct, right? Whenever you enter a conversation with someone and you start like telling your story, your brain picks aspects of your stories, memories, thoughts, like retrieves different aspects of your stories and of who you are to make kind of like give a coherent narrative, but that will always be oriented towards the person you're speaking to. So there's like also like an anticipation programming of like, what do I think will be interesting for this person to hear about me? And that's like a pretty unconscious process usually. And or like subconscious process, and then you construct like a narrative. You construct a story by nitpicking different frames of your past experiences and memories to present that story of yourself to that person. And in those ways we morph into different characters and into different forms for different people as well.
It reminded me that we are subconsciously also considering that we are recording our conversation for another audience.
Yeah, I think we've navigated pretty freely. Like I think I still have allowed my thoughts to run quite freely, but yeah, it's still running in the background that this is a recorded conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is also nice. It's a nice tension to play with because it reveals things in the way that relationships do. Like it's, if you seek the thrill of learning from having this different situations elicit different responses from you. Yeah, just there's so much in the world, so many roles to play out there in the world. I don't need to find my roles in relationships. Maybe I create my own drama in relationships in order to keep like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you have like a very romantic attitude about relationships, that they have to like fulfill everything, like a very consumptive relationship,
Merging, complementary,
codependent situation.
Yeah.
It can get very it could take a long time before you figure that out, before you learn that you're doing that. And meanwhile, all the situations that could benefit from you participating in them out in the world, where you would be learning just as much about the different roles that you can play, the different aspects of your personality that come out, but gives you less of that juicy emotional fuel. Yeah, but maybe that's normal. It's part of human development. Like what we say, 24 until you even get narrative, like prefrontal cortex fixes enough that narrative even becomes possible.
Yeah.
And after that,
And like
you get like what 27, 28 when people like don't make it because they don't have somehow what circuit 5, circuit 6 are opening and they get lost.
Well, I don't know if like the opening of Circuit 5 and Circuit 6 is like necessarily like an age or linear development thing.
No,
I think that also can happen already, that those circuits are activated earlier,
yeah.
depending on like life experiences and genetics as well.
Mm.
And to some extent, I do believe that there's also a mutation thing that's happening that might be due to the increased use of psychedelics since the 60s, and like kids from people that have activated the circuitry with the use of psychedelics already like also bring
Mm.
genetic imprints to the world that come with more activated high or like more developed circuitry in that part of the brain, um, which comes then like that's a hypothesis. I cannot prove it, but it's an hypothesis, and some other people find it resonant
Mm.
that neurodivergence or like the increase of neurodivergence as well, like in our generation and the generations behind us, has to do also with that, like that there's um, just a higher rate of humans that already come with activated circuit 5, circuit 6, circuit 7.
I think that, but there's also more dysfunction. I think it's also just the concrescence of
Yeah, of
everything.
course, because you have the activation, but you have no maps to actually cultivate and anchor that sensation, that sensory led experiences,
Hmm.
and then you get gaslit also.
Yeah, by everybody else around you, by yourself. Yeah, by people who want
Out of
something.
your experience, you have no maps, you have no way to cultivate this cognitive capacities of your brain, because like our schooling system only trains
Mm.
physical intelligence, little emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
C3 intelligence, and gives some good C4 imprints so that you can be a nice little worker bee.
Mm.
But if you already have like things happening in circuit 5, 6, and 7, well, it like brings a whole array of problems in navigating that world that is not equipping you to navigate those kind of like spaces, and nobody's giving you any tools or understanding of what's happening to you and your perception.
Yeah, yeah, I recognize that. That's why I never, or that's why I felt like school was not a place I could navigate. Hmm. Like it was different wavelengths. It wasn't where I was at.
And in some way, like, have you heard of like this NASA study that showed that most kids come like tapped in with their zone of genius and imagination, and the schooling system systematically sort of like corrodes our access to our own innate genius.
Yeah, for sure. I have encountered this thought many times that yeah, everybody arrives a genius, and the quest is to hold on to it while you're at school. But I didn't hear it in combination with a NASA study.
Yeah, they did over decades, and then the intelligence and amount of like genius and access to imagination and creativity is like decreases the longer the child stays in school.
Ah, well, that definitely tracks. Hmm. Okay. Well,
Tragic, no?
how do we reactivate it?
How do we react to it?
How do we reactivate it?
How do we reactivate it? Well, by undoing yourself and undoing all that programming, all that schooling in a way, which is something we're doing in our quests with those
Yes.
experiments. Can be done through psychedelics as well. Um,
Yeah, I think
it's
in
like
taking part, getting new
mind
imprints.
fucking yourself
Yeah, many ways.
into opening your mind. Yeah.
Give, giving new imprints also. I feel like this is such a big quest, is to give new imprints. It's like to come up with
Like,
such a good show that people are just like open again, and then you give them a new imprint.
yeah, yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like that technology has been around. That technology is like cult technology as well.
Like a circus.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, how do you get people indoctrinated into a cult? You re-imprint them, and the technology
Red
is
and
like it's
circuses.
known. It's like like Robert Anton Wilson described it in Prometheus Rising. When I read that chapter, just like fuck, it made sense, right?
Mhm.
You get people into survival stress,
Mhm.
right? Like a life or death situation.
Yeah.
Then you introduce a savior that takes them out of the situation. You take them out of their social. You isolate them from their family and friends so that you make the new people the only reference point.
Mhm.
Then you start introducing hierarchy. You break their ego. You demean them, diminish them. You put them at the top, bottom of the hierarchy, and they need to like work hard to get your approval to
Yeah.
prove themselves worth
And
of the
then
cult
sometimes,
leader,
sometimes
of the
when they are
leadership.
copying your behavior accurately, you put them on a pedestal and then you knock them down again.
Yeah, you give them like treats, like good Pavlov conditioning.
Mhm.
And then once you've broken them and re-imprinting them to like the new leader, social group, and the new like person that gives them nurturing and feeds them, you
Mhm.
can feed them a new narrative, a new belief system, new BS. Because they're susceptible to it, because they trust your authority, and then you can't feed them the narrative. And so you like kind of like reprogram, you can like reprogram people.
Hold on. I'm taking notes.
Reprogram people into whichever cult and sexual practices the guru or the cult leader sort of desires, any sets of like behaviors and morals. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like easier even to do that, like, and that's why a lot of like this cults use, for one, like psycho-spiritual technology, and also like psychedelics and sexual and peak experiences stuff. Because if you bring the people into like this peak experiences, then you create like neuroplasticity in the brain, and then it's even easier to feed them narratives and social behaviors, repattering.
Mhm. Yep.
What do they do? What do we have in the big scale, right?
Yeah, but
You
I see it
have
also in the
some
small
sort of
scale. Don't
like,
worry about that.
yeah, you see it on the big scale as well. You have like a big shock, like a pandemic, right?
Yeah,
People
but
get
you see it
into a
also.
life
You
or
see that
death
and when you try
situation.
to tell people that this has happened to them, they get angry.
Then you play put them in fear of life and death. Then you play the circuit 2 dominance game. So you have some people that will respond like, oh yes, please make it safe again. Everything is so uncertain. We'll
Mhm.
submit to your control. Please, daddy state, make it safe again. Secure the situation. And others that will react with their circuit 2 imprint of like, fuck you, I won't do what you told me.
Mhm.
But the previous ones that reacted at this with submission, you can feed a new narrative. The other one will require a narrative that empowers them again, because they're disempowered, right? They're not submitting, but they're rejecting the authority and the system of control. But while they're still being kind of like uh, bullied into it.
Yeah.
And so to empower you, you need like another quest story of resistance, where you get to be the hero in resistance to the big bad regime to
That
restore
definitely
also
sounds
your
like
ego. So
all the vaccine weigeraar and
yes.
but they then get sucked into the fascist stuff with Putin and stuff just because it's a
uh,
counter to your main narrative. Crazy.
it's always the question, like in which sort of like hierarchies are you are, and which stories make more sense. And then people just like invest belief in the stories,
Well, I
right?
have to say that when like worse but tempting stories come up, they do reveal the weakness in the main story in a way.
Mhm. Mhm.
So like for instance, like if you're in a relationship but somebody else comes along that is also interesting, but you don't, then it's like what am I it's a good way to reflect on yourself, like how am I not living up to the mythology around myself. That I'm even vulnerable to this. And in the broader scheme, this is like when it comes to like the corona and Ukraine war stuff. It's like, why? In what ways is the main narrative like? Is the regime, is the status quo not living up to the mythology of itself? So liberalism, like, where's liberalism failing to deliver on its promises?
Many cracks there in that story now.
Exactly. And in the same way that you can have this in relationships, where it's like, oh, if I'm not, in a way, living up to my end of the bargain somehow, like,
To your self-image, right? Is this supporting your self-image, or is this tearing cracks in your self-image? And if it tears too many cracks in your
tearing
self-image, you get
cracks, or
into
is it
some sort of.
revealing cracks? Am I the one tearing my cracks?
That's a very good
It's
question.
my self-image. They're my cracks. I failed to live up to the way I project myself out in the world, and the world reacts to that. Totally logical. It's not the world that's cracking my self-image. It's me. I would much rather have responsibility for this than to somehow blame Putin, or to somehow blame somebody else, or to blame whoever my partner is having an affair with. There's no answers there. It's just to give more of your fucks away, not even to somebody who's looking for them. Giving them away to somebody who doesn't even know that you're giving them.
Oh yeah.
When you're
Don't we
blaming
do
the
that
system,
mostly?
or you blame the government, or you blame some foreign government, that's the silliest waste of energy there is. Because you're not even getting
Like
anything
giving
back.
a lot of. No, you're just giving your power away.
Yeah, in exchange for nothing. So yeah.
Well, some exchange, something you get out of it, because you don't do any behavior where you not get any reward.
Yeah, you
Like
get
that's the way.
You get to run away from your responsibility. You get to be the victim. That's your payoff.
You get to be the victim.
You get to wallow, and then you can cry about it. You can do that thing where you're not really crying, but you're giving into crying, so that you can get some demonic possession from the jealousy demons, or the powerlessness demons, or the victimhood demons, and they'll come and feed you. Don't worry.
How do you discern that though from like honest grief about loss and release, or about the feeling of the unmet needs?
I think we already covered this ground a little bit before about the comfort which deadens. Yeah, it's like, okay, you can feel, let there be space for the grief that you're really feeling. But if you catch something in that process that is like, oh, and now I'm gonna fill the space, that the thing that left, so something is now missing from my life, and then the temptation to fill that space up with grief, rather than to let it heal, or rather than to find what is needed there. It doesn't have to be grief. There's many other things that can give you supply that you can fill up with when a break occurs. You can be very vulnerable to influence and re-imprinting.
Conscious re-imprinting, because
that would be nice, but unconscious re-imprinting happens.
Unconscious, yeah, like the same thing. Like if you're not aware of the stories that you're playing in someone else's story.
Yeah,
playing side characters to someone else's story.
Yeah, and I'm learning to see when that's happening. At great expense, but I'm learning it.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you say that. Because in a previous conversation we had, I had the feeling that you were willing to give up main character status for playing a sidekick in someone else's story.
Hold on. As we're talking about that, a moth is entering my house and needs help from getting out of the window.
Ask a minute, woman, ask a minute.
Let's see the other side. I had to open the window for a butterfly to get out.
Are you actually also streaming video there?
Yeah, but it wasn't showing the. Yeah, I am. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the Hague. One little corner of it. But when I said I'm back in my throne, I didn't mean it.
I'm gonna put this back in my pocket though.
Yeah,
I just
of
want
course.
to check the timing. I had like the impulse, maybe it's like a one last thing we can riff off in this conversation, which I think it has been going on like a really nice riff. What I wrote in the chat, like C3 is also about like categories, right? About like nomenclatures, naming, making distinctions. And we've been talking about the fox and the given fox and the not given fox.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if like we can riff a little bit around about the different categories of fox we have to give and are giving away inadvertently. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think immediately I have to think about this topic about discerning between the comfort which deadens and the comfort which you need, the rest the rest you need and the rest you use to escape from your feelings, the grief you need and the grief you use to fill in the hole. And in the same, it's somewhere in there, like how do we discern? What, like, categories of grief, categories of fucks, categories of what are the fucks we should give? Like, what are the fucks that we can be happy that we gave? What are the fucks that we could be happy in a different context, but because of the context they're demonic. I'm just gonna go straight to there. Like, somehow they're feeding the demon. Somehow they're not feeding the gremlin, they're feeding the demon. You know what I mean?
Not entirely sure if I fully know what you mean, but
well, there's like in a way you have your like true strength, but you also have your true weakness somehow. And it's like, if you feed this, or we have like when it's like a forbidden snack for the gremlin. It's like something that we don't even know should be on the list of forbidden gremlin snacks. Because we're not aware that it's something that we're feeding the gremlin with, that it really shouldn't be having.
That's like, and it's at the same time causing havoc, right?
It is, of course.
It's costing us dearly, like the investment.
It's like
for that gremlin snack, we don't know that the gremlin is snacking on.
We're giving the gremlin.
It's usually
water.
a high cost investment.
Yeah. Where are you feeding your gremlin water? You don't know.
After dark.
Maybe that's the metaphor here. Is like, don't give your gremlin water after dark. Like, water
Don't
is like
give your
emotional
gremlin water.
energy. Don't feed your gremlin emotional energy without awareness. After dark, without light. So don't let your gremlin unconsciously consume your emotional energy, because it's gonna wreak havoc. in your life. It's gonna make your life impossible. So there's like, yeah, also the discernment of the fucks. Which fucks, by becoming aware of the fucks you're giving, even, you know what's even funny? You could become aware of all the fucks you're giving, and then at the end of the day, you can calculate, or at the end of the period, maybe at the month, you calculate how many fucks you gave, and then how many fucks you feel you gave. And then you try to find out which fucks did I give that I did not register. Like, which fucks did my gremlin sneakily give away?
Oh, oof, yeah, that's a good one. I mean, the practice as such will make it even more conscious and more conscious what kind of
Right.
fucks you're giving away, right?
Yeah, so then you also notice
So you
when
can
the fuck
like
goes
start like
missing.
uncovering. And that's the emotional investment list, right? That's the quest of the emotional investment list, right?
Is that C3?
No, not that's a C2 quest.
I missed that one.
There's a yeah. The C2 quest of the emotional investment list was to make a list of your emotional investments, like everything you're emotionally invested to, as like people, objects, self-images, ideologies, values, projects, all different things that you invest your energy into in a way. And these are like fucks you give, right?
Yeah.
So if I translate us into this, like, yeah, that question to the fucks, like, you have fucks of care that you give to people. You care for people, you care for causes, you care for projects, you care for your stuff, you care for your self-images, you care sometimes for like some ideologies that you're invested in. And then you need to also like look at like how much am I invested in those different things, and where am I actually getting a return of investments? Like, where are my fucks being cultivated when I give them to where are they being impactful?
Where are they going to
Where
the
are
dog?
they and where are they going to the dog? Like where are they thriving? All right.
Yeah.
And that's quite a powerful exercise to do.
And this is
To
also,
like
yeah,
like
the cultivating of the fox is this, like, I'm reminded of when it's like, oh, cultivating the fox, like, oh no, you shouldn't be so attached to the fox. Like, no, this is good. You become responsible. It's not about not giving a fuck.
it's not about not giving a fuck. It's about cultivating fucks, and that was a spell, right? It's about
Yeah.
cultivating fucks, and that means sometimes you have to give zero fucks in a situation because
Yeah.
the fucks investment that is being asked of is not warranted.
Yeah. Or you need to know how to not give a fuck in order for it to matter if you give a fuck.
Yeah.
'Cause until
Exactly.
then
That's the
you're-
learning.
Yeah. Until then, you're captured by you give your fucks away as a survival strategy, not because you're intentional about it.
Yeah. Or because you're unconsciously hoping for gremlin food.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair to fuck enough. Yeah. Sometimes you have everything, but that's in a way when you got like arrogant and sloppy because your life is too easy and yeah, you have too much energy not being spent in the right ways. This is why I do this thing with relationships. Because I'm not I'm not investing my fucks where they need to be. So I try to throw them away at somebody who will piss them away faster than I can.
Piss them away faster than I can.
Who can piss them
Well.
away. Yeah. So it's like, oh please, I don't know what to do with all these fucks. Can you please discard them for me? Sure. Because I don't care about you at all. You know. You can give me all that shit, yummy, for 5 minutes. It's like sugar, bye. You got any more?
I mean, sometimes it's also just their gremlins eating all those fucks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they don't intentionally want to waste our fucks.
No, it's true. They love us, but we don't love them enough to stop feeding their gremlin. Yeah.
And this is where we become enablers.
Exactly, they're much too useful to us. So hooked on these fox. With their gremlins hooked on our fox. Yeah, of course.
Because they feed some self-image we have as well.
Yeah. So then, in a way, when they get away from that toxic behavior from us, it hurts us. But it doesn't really hurt us. It hurts that self-image that they've been giving us.
Mm-hmm.
And when that arrangement ends, it's very painful and it feels like a betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
But really, they're doing what they need, which is to get the fuck away from you. And am I also getting what I need, which is to get the fuck away from them? Well, yeah, because they don't care. Really. They also don't care. So it's not love. Somehow that's not love. Yeah, but that's too simple of a conclusion. Because it does also feel like love. Interesting. Life doesn't give you easy answers, huh?
No, I think it's not so much that they don't actually genuinely care, but more often that they are not at capacity to care in a way that would also nurture us.
Right, because they are too busy dealing with the chaos caused by their gremlin getting so much food that they're not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, right. We feed their gremlins. And
We do.
It runs amok. It makes a mess.
Mm-hmm. It makes a fucking mess.
Yeah. So in a way, that's part of the reason why they don't have capacity to step into care in the way that we both need from each other and for each other. So it is definitely there's something about how it just does come back to the sense of how do I show up in relationship. That it's in a way I say it's karmic, but that's also a way to sidestep responsibility. It's not karmic. It's how I show up in relationship, and it becomes karmic when I don't acknowledge that subconsciously or unconsciously. Yeah, I'm feeding her bullshit generator, her gremlin, in order to keep getting the supply that I need from her for the self-image that I need her to uphold for me, because I don't have the courage to go out into the world and give my gifts there, so that I have a self-image that is in integrity, so that automatically, in a way, it feels like automatically you get into relationships that are in integrity too, because you're not playing this silly game there.
And it's like you get to hide from your main quest because, oh, it's so big for me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have drama here a little bit, so then I don't need actually to go for the main quest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is something that I'm becoming aware of. That this has been a pattern for me in my life. That keeps suddenly blowing up relationships. It's not that they don't work. It's that they feel like they're suddenly blowing up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, great. So that was us musing. We did it. Congratulations. Excellent. Bless you. Gesundheit.
Bless me.
Yeah, cultivating the fox. There we go. It's yeah. For me, maybe this getting the fox thing comes back to relationship with the world. How are you showing up in the world? And is that enough? Is that enough for you?
Because also you can invest your fox in like the causes that matter to you, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that works. Like sometimes you get back that it makes it worth. But sometimes also you know that your time there has passed and it's time for somebody else to take it up.
Yeah. You've given enough fucks to a cause.
Yeah, you can give your fucks to a cause, but not to give your life to a cause. Unless it's a life or death cause.
Unless it's a life or death cause. Which at the meta scale it is, right?
It depends.
Climate change.
Climate change for sure is. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's why I'm.
Yeah. But even there, you need to be discerning of like,
Yeah.
at which point does your fuck investment actually have impact on the cause that you're trying to impact?
And it's funny when something is a life or death cause, then you can get to a point where you feel the ends justify the means, but you have to have discernment every time. Not all ends justify all means.
And this is where circuit 3 or internal bullshit generator can create the most compelling stories to justify all means. And it takes a proper circuit 4 awareness of a value compass to not derail yourself. And because RC3s can spin any story into making sense and coherence to justify any means.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen myself and others twist from one unlikely to another impossible explanation for an untenable position to be somehow necessary. So yeah, value compass will be good. I'm happy to be going over these layers again and again, and I think I will keep doing it.
Oh, we still have a couple of weeks to go.
Yeah, but I noticed already that, for instance, I could imagine wanting to spend 3 weeks in C3, but I'm just going to not vote for it. I'm like, okay, let's move on. We touched it, opened the lid, looked inside, see that there are spiders and caterpillars among the cookie jar, and okay, let's move on. Leave it open and continue. Like, because they need some time to crawl out, and I don't need to sit here.
We don't need to dig. You mean just like open the cookie jar, open the Pandora's box,
open Pandora's box, and continue. Like, yeah.
And let the stories catch up through the rest of the journey.
Yeah, we will just be aware that we didn't close the jar of C3 as we go on. It'll even be helpful. It'll even be helpful to when we're in C6 and to be like, oh, remember, we're in a way still dealing with C3.
Sure.
Don't get caught up in your own supply now. Don't the things that were tricky then are lethal now. You know, it's like really see the thing for the thing. That, yeah, not every rabbit hole is the yellow brick road.
Not every rabbit hole is the yellow brick road. Dorothy, Alice, Dorothy, Alice, Dorothy, Alice, Alice. Where did Kansas go now? I mean, people have said to me after this journey, it's like we could do like a whole month for each circuit.
Yeah,
right? You could do like a year-long training cycle as well out of this, and like dedicate 1 month to each circuit with like some integrations in between and some pauses in between to respire, and then make it a year-long training.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, at some point that
cool
might exist as a. Huh?
Doesn't that sound cool as fuck?
It does, but like if people don't know yet what they're getting to, like it's a hard sell. Like, hey, Let's do a 1 year commitment of working with this material. 1 year, are you with me?
It's
And
easier
will
to,
you
than
pay
to call like
me?
a 3-year thing.
I mean, but that's what the monastery is for then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The monastery is a place where you can, spread the cycles of the work and however long you commit to the monastery in a way, go through the path. And I'm thinking as well, like this, you've seen like the digital platform system at EO, right? So like when enough people get on that and start like working through the program by themselves, there could be like also like a monthly community call to like riff and jam and Q&A around like, like each month one circuit. And so you could like also guide a group more or less loose and some sort of like membership program through the year working on the circuits. It's all possible, right? It's just like different setups, and at the end of the day, it's also about like what can you actually like how many of the stuff and formats and different ways of doing the work can you like market and convince people to engage with.
Yeah, you could be finding like I'm imagining now that the monastery should have a harbor.
Safe harbor.
Somewhere into the water,
Yeah. On the map, it's somewhere in the mountain, though.
Yeah,
But a harbor.
I don't know if this place will have on the map. On your
Yeah.
map?
Yeah, it's the monastery somewhere in the C7 map.
Okay. Well, it's the C7 map.
Near.
It's a very shifty place where.
Yeah, definitely.
If you try to pinpoint that, certainly the map is not a territory, but it's especially true there.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very elusive. Not even more Circuit 8 though. I think the Circuit 8 map is just like when I made it, it was like, yeah, and if I started all over, it would look completely different again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
because true. It's just like so elusive, and the same goes for Circuit 7. Yeah, it's like one attempt at making sense of the territory, and that was actually. I felt like the maps of Circuit 6, Circuit 7, and Circuit 8, like way more difficult to produce actually. And at some point I had to like go. It's like, okay, whatever comes out now is like the sense I can't make now, but there's no ultimate sense making of this.
You're aware that you're just taking one slice of the hyper map.
Yeah. Because it's also multidimensional, right? Exactly. And I'm trying to put it in a 2D map.
Yeah, so you grab a slice of it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a clear disclaimer on it. The map is not the territory. I think we'll figure it out.
The map is not the territory. Exactly.
You find yourself on you find yourself on different points of the map without being able to tell how you got there. Like without being able to trace your route. Yes, that's because your route was multidimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're looking at a flat map.
Exactly. But it's still a good orientation tool, like
Exactly.
It's a good orientation tool, and it like points towards some territories that are just like worth exploring. And once you get there, you'll find something out uniquely to your experience about that territory.
Yeah.
But you might have not gotten the idea to go there if you would have not seen it on the map.
Exactly. And now that I see the map, and I already had this book, The Prometheus Rising, I knew about this stuff. But it's really, now it's like such a nice invitation to start to travel through it properly. Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome, Pirate. So I think like it's a good point now to wrap it up as a podcast conversation. Um, Look at us, we even managed to put in some marketing narrative.
Very good.
I'm talking about mercurial trickiness.
Hey, you know,
Hmm.
I have Mercury and Mars close together in Libra.
Me and Libra, I think.
Yep.
No, wait.
Yeah, in Libra.
Hmm. Yeah, in Libra.
Mercury in Libra is very, very, very useful.
In which way?
In which way? I always know what to say. And I'm very tricky. I can be very tricky with that. And it's
I know how we need to end this now to wrap it up. We need a name.
a name for the podcast.
Yeah. Like this other astrologer friend of mine, or like doing a podcast project. We also have now only the first episode, and we have not published it. It's like the Stoned Witches podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes really sense. Like if I feel we need a name that makes sense for this riffing you and I have.
The hidden treasures.
The hidden treasures.
For a pirate podcast. Maybe.
X marks the spot.
I like that too. X marks the spot if it's just about like how breakups inform your, like how breakups identify, like this episode name can be called, if it's hidden treasure, then this episode is called X marks the spot, as it's like how your breakups point out where you gotta focus your personal development. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your hidden treasure, love?
Yeah, this one is it's buried pretty deeply, but it's that actually I have a serious like calling in the world. Like I have my own story to tell. And I don't get the luxury of being a side character. I can't settle for side quests in this life. I got a real one. I don't get to avoid my responsibility through whatever is nice. It'll even, like, I so much can't do it that even if I find, doesn't matter. Imagine if the one exists, I can find her. She would still be taken away from me if I don't stay on my main quest. Because that's more important.
What if she's a supporting character in your main quest?
Yeah, that would be preferable. But she can be a supporting character in your main quest, and you can still not be on your main quest by becoming a supporting character in hers, or somehow by focusing on her instead of on yourself, on your own journey. You can still, like, that she could be a supportive character just because she isn't now, because of the way that you're showing up in your relationship, doesn't mean that she's not the right for you. But it's and the relationship isn't going to last, because it would last if you would be supporting each other's quests. But you're not, because you're focused on, like, you've let somebody else become the focus of your life. And if you're lucky, if you do that, the relationship will come to an end. That's my hidden treasure here for this. Is that, like, yeah, the relationship came to an end because, God still loves me.
Yeah. I think my hidden treasure is like on a similar tagline here. That I need to, I need to stop this going in service for someone else's development in my relationships. Focus also on my main quest, which also like if relationship like for relationships to make sense for me as well, I do need a partner that that will walk somewhere along lines my main quest, or where we can unify forces for the main quest. And he can bring like in resources for the main quest to succeed and not be taking my fucks away by me being the nurturer or the caregiver in our relationship.
Totally. Simple as that.
And this has already been like dawning as a like learning quest or a developmental quest, and I think now the rupture of this last lovership, situationship, relationship, anarchy, experiment. It's just kind of like the last shuffle to fully unearth that treasure and now let it sink in and alchemize. And according to my beautiful astrologer friend Georgia from the Stone Witches podcast, I need to do a round of fucking celibacy. I'm not doing any intimate relationship for a while over this winter, and then rather focus on building community and keep building my business, my work, and out of that, then at some point will emerge the relationship that is aligned with the quest.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, it sounds the same I have. Like stop avoiding responsibility for your life by pouring all the energy that you need to build it into people that aren't going to stick around. Or not even into people that aren't going to stick around, just into people generally because they end up not sticking around because they also know that it's not good for you.
Because also they're not going where you're going to.
Or they want to go somewhere, but you're going nowhere because you're putting all your energy into them.
Yeah, also.
They're like, I wish we could go together, but you're not moving. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not moving? Look how hard I'm working. Yeah, at you.
Yeah, no, not going that anymore.
Great, happy to hear it. I can't afford this pattern anymore. Me neither. I probably could never afford it. It was just a pattern.
Well, we did afford it. Like we invested the fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
We bought it. Either way, we bought it.
we bought it. We had enough fox to give. We did invest the fox. We did get some pressure out of it as well. You know, like we did get some pressure out of it as well. But yeah, it's not a sustainable investment anymore. Like the fox needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah, into our main quest. Yeah, exactly. and to unearthing the stuff that we've been running away from. Because this is also the thing. If you want, if something is still stopping. Like there's, like what confrontation with myself am I running away from by going into relationships? But maybe that's not for now. Maybe that's not digging now. We can leave some for.
We're not good. Yeah, don't open them all. We're having a good closing. We're having a good closing. We unearthed the treasure. The podcast is called The Hidden Treasure. The episode marks the X marks the spot.
Very good. Yeah.
Let's leave it at that and broadcast it first to the crew what you're saying, and then.
Exactly. Maybe somebody on the crew would like to be like, "Oh, this is," but you guys talked for like almost 2 hours. Maybe it can be shorter. Yeah.
It could be edited as well. But
Perhaps.
for the first raw one, it's maybe nice to put it out there.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, good. I can probably just drop it in the Telegram channel. You can send incredible file sizes there.
You can't. Like, there's a limit to the file sizes.
2
Telegram, yeah.
Telegram, 2 gigabytes. 2 gigabytes. So I can.
Everyone is on Telegram, though.
True, but it's well, yeah, true. Not everybody's on Telegram. Okay.
But yeah, you can drop it there, or like we can
Upload it and put a link. Yeah, fair.
upload it to my YouTube channel, possible.
Okay.
And then first with a like a non-public link. So
Yeah, yeah.
and if you want to make it public and stuff like.
We can edit it and yeah.
We can edit it a bit and
Good.
promote it.
Okay.
Alright, love.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Likewise.
The pleasure was all ours. This conversation tickled my brain in a nice way, and I think let's make it count as a C3 quest for you and me.
If it's that's hey.
By the power I have as an accordion pope and the captain of the ship, I declare this C3 quest for you and me.
Excellent. That's helpful. That's you're feeding my procrastination gremlin of avoiding to have to do this. But all right, good.
Just to have some more time to do some quests.
Exactly.
Tonight, tomorrow.
Yes.
Alright, dear. I have another appointment in 2 hours with the Valiant Fitness Monkeys.
Yes. Very good. See you.
Ahoy.
Ahoy.